Hey y'all, it is Tara. I'm in the van at Little Molass, which is a trailhead right on the Colorado Trail. Today I'm going to be talking about Hardrock 100. For those that don't know, the Hardrock 100 is held in the San Juan mountain range of southern Colorado. Got that right. I keep saying Southern California. Don't know why. It is held in southern Colorado. It's a 102-mile course, actually. It starts and finishes in Silverton, Colorado, and has nearly 33,000 feet of gain and loss. That's a lot of climbing, and that's a lot of descending. The average elevation is over 11,000 feet, but climbs up to 14,000 feet at Handy's Peak. Runners must finish the race in under 48 hours, battling the elements, altitude, and heartbreaking climbs. Getting into Hardrock 100 is just as difficult. I mean, I would say more difficult, but on average, about 2,800 people apply to the lottery, and only 140 people are picked. And this is a completely random system, except for Dale's pick, and that's actually how I got in November. I was one of Dale's picks, which Dale is the race director, and he is given the opportunity to pick 6 people to compete in Hardrock 100, 3 men and 3 women. And I saw this as a huge honor and a huge opportunity, even though at first I felt like this extreme imposter syndrome. I was like, me of all people? I came to terms with that, and I just want to experience, at this point, I just want to experience all that Hardrock has, and I'm just looking forward to this opportunity to do the big loop in the San Juans. But as someone who's coming from sea level, what am I doing to increase my odds of doing well and no less finish the race? So today I'm going to go over my training I've been doing and show you all a tool that has been helping me optimize my performance. Before we get into that, I want to ask you guys to please like, comment, and subscribe. It only takes a click on y'all's end to help and encourage creators like me. As always, thank you for the support. In 2022, I completed the DOWER DUO 100-mile race. This race is held in Georgia and goes up and over the Duncan Ridge Trail and climbs along the Benton MacKaye Trail. In that year I did it, there was about 33,000 feet of gain, and it was incredibly hard, and I wanted to DNF but got a second wind and kept moving really well until the finish. And Hardrock 100 and DOWER DUO are basically identical with the amount of climbing. But what sets these two races apart? Well, that would be the fact that Hardrock 100 is mainly ran around 11,000 feet on average, and the altitude combined with the relentless climbs adds, an extra tough factor that can't be replicated on the East Coast, and that's normally where I run. So, what am I doing to get ready for this race? This crazy hard race. Knowing that, I knew I needed to get to Colorado early to start acclimating in the San Juans. I should forewarn you guys, I am not an expert in high altitude ultra running or acclimation. I recommend y'all to do your own research and also read this really good article by Corinne Malcolm. Put it in the description below and I'll quote it a couple times in this video. It's a great article. She has some great information. I highly recommend you read the entire thing. With all that being said, I knew that 2 weeks of acclimation worked for me in the past with Run Rabbit Run. I ran Run Rabbit Run in 2022 and 2023, and it peaks at about 10,500 feet, so not quite as high as Hardrock. So this is a quote from the article Corinne wrote called Into Thin Air. She says, "If it's your A race and you are short on time, either arriving the night before to avoid the 24-hour slump of your body, starting to use energy for making adaptations, or arriving at least 5 days in advance so that your race is after the bulk of the acute adaptations have taken place, are your best 2 options. General recommendations, however, acknowledge the importance of chronic exposure and include 3 to 5 days for races at 1,640 feet to 6,561 feet, 1 to 2 weeks for races at 6,561 feet to 9,842 feet, and at least 3 weeks for races over 9,842 feet. With all that information from the article, I decided to get to varying altitude about 5 weeks prior to the race. And with the fact that I am trying to get on the course as much as possible, I am also sleeping high at Silverton, which is around 9,300 feet. And I'm attempting to train even higher, which has proven to be very difficult, but I'm doing what I can. And that's all you can ask for. Some tools that have helped me track my altitude acclimation is my Coros Vertex 2S, which has a built-in oximeter sensor that measures blood oxygen, SpO2, or peripheral capillary oxygen saturation. According to Coros watches calculate SpO2 mainly by emitting and absolving light passing through blood vessels. As the elevation increases, SpO2 will gradually decrease. When the elevation is above 2,500 meters, oxygen intake and blood oxygen saturation will decrease and may cause symptoms including acute altitude sickness and high altitude pulmonary edema, which is HAPE. Coros measures SpO2, heart rate, elevation, and other data to estimate altitude acclimation at certain altitude. As I've spent more time at altitude, I've been encouraged that my SpO2 level is slowly increasing. I also can base, my training days on that number. So if it's, low, I know to maybe take it a little easier that day. During my training, the Vertex has come in handy in more ways than just helping me with my altitude acclimation. Like with any Coros watch, you can track your activities, and on the Coros app, it spits out information like training load, training status, recovery status, running fitness, and stress level. Being in an unfamiliar place, I have been able to create routes on Strava and download the GPX files to my watch so I can follow the course. I have already downloaded the hardrock 100 course, so that's helped when I want to check out certain areas and I'm not quite sure where the course goes, because a lot of these areas don't see a lot of traffic besides the race, so it's been nice to follow my watch and know that I'm going the right way. My coach has given me a really great training cycle for my time in the San Juans. I've gone in the mountains a lot. I'm still doing my regular easy runs with some hill surges mixed in, but I've also been doing a lot more big long runs. A couple weeks ago, I ran 50 kilometers on the course. This gave me some good time on feet and experience with my kit for the race. As many of you know, I have been doing runs/slogs. That's what you call them when they're a little tougher. I've been doing those with friends around this impressive range and have aided my friend in his FKT. If you haven't watched that video on the Colorado Trail, my friend Kyle Curtin set the new FKT on the Colorado Trail. I think he ran 75 miles a day. It took him 6 days and 15 hours to complete all 491 miles of the Colorado Trail. I will link it above. If you haven't watched that video, please watch it. It's amazing. But anyways, I did 3 days with him on the Colorado Trail, which gave me a lot of good time on feet. And I've also been able to practice my heating and cooling strategies, as well as night hiking with Kyle. And then I've been eating more carbs. And I've also been doing a lot of hiking with my poles, which I'm not super familiar with, but I've been practicing more. I feel a little more confident. So I'll be honest, running at 9,000 to 14,000 feet has really slowed me down. It's going to slow anyone down, and that's just the facts. This is normal, and it's important to not judge your pace when you're running at altitude. It's going to feel harder, and you're going to be slower. It's just how it is. Hard rock is a grind, and to finish, you have to embrace the toughness. That's what I've heard. It's not like I've done this race before, but I've heard you just have to grind it out. It's tough, and it's hard, and it's high up, and you just have to get through it the best way you can. Sometimes, though, this can get in my head. I've struggled in the past couple weeks with my mental state and just feeling confident in my race. And I've also done a lot of mental work to kind of combat that. When you're hiking and running at altitude, if you're somebody like me who's not used to that, you're low on oxygen, you're short on breath, and that can kind of mimic some symptoms of anxiety. So I've felt a little more anxious being out there, and I've also in turn been using a lot of mindset tools that I've learned over the past year after Hellbender 100. If you guys watch that video, you know that I had a really tough race mentally, and so I've been working a lot on my mindset, and it comes in handy when I'm at altitude and when I'm short on breath and when, it might being short on breath mimics anxiety. So I've been working a lot on my mindset being out here. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's hard rock. It's going to be really tough. So just staying positive and just moving is really important. With being at altitude, I am also prioritizing rest days. According to that article written by Malcolm, she says altitude puts an increased demand on the body for a given load. And because of this, it is important to put an increased focus on your exercise recovery ratio. I ran into that yesterday when I just was, mindset wasn't great, and I was also just very tired from pacing at Western states. If you haven't watched that video, I'll tag it up here. And then also helping Kyle on the Colorado Trail. I just felt like I wasn't fully recovered after that. And today I was supposed to do a 6-mile run, and I think it's more important to have a rest day. You cannot, this close to a race, it's when I'm filming this, it's a week before the race. You can't gain, but you can definitely lose something before a race. So you can't gain fitness very minimally. You can gain very minimal fitness, but in my case, I fell on the course because I was so tired and I was exhausted from this 8-mile run and all of the work I had done before and all the running I've done before. And so I fell and I actually injured, for those that don't want to see, don't look, but I don't know if you can see it, I actually injured my knee, and it's got a cut. It doesn't hurt. I can move my knee just fine, but you can't gain anything, but you can definitely lose. So if you need to take a rest day, that is super important to prioritize rest. It's going to help you more than it's going to harm you. So during those designated rest days, I try to stay off my feet as much as possible. I try to stay in bed longer. I try to sleep. I try to eat more and just take it easy. And rest is very important. And somebody put it in this way. They said it's the most underrated performance enhancer. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, heck yeah, I want a natural performance enhancer. Rest days are very important. The Vertex lets me know my real-time recovery based on base fitness, training load, and remaining energy since my last run. In order to be more rested, sometimes going to a lower elevation is required because of hypoxia or low oxygen. This affects the sleep center of the brain, which causes a light and poor quality sleep, less total sleep time, and increased awakenings. So that's the basics of how I'm approaching 2024 Hard Rock 100. The biggest thing for this race is the altitude and the climbing, just getting used to that. And in my case, I don't think you'll ever get used to the altitude, but also combining that with a positive mindset will aid in at least finishing the race, right? So how do you guys think I did? Let me know in the comments if you guys have any suggestions, or if you think I did well, if the training is good. But I guess we shall see how this training worked tomorrow, because when I'm posting this video, so I'm filming this on Friday, the Friday before the race, and I'm posting this on Thursday, the day before the race. The race starts Friday, 6 a.m. Mountain Time. I guess we shall see how I do based on my performance. And I'll let you guys also know in a recap video of Hard Rock. If you'd like to watch the race live, there is a live stream on Mountain Outpost, and there is tracking. So I will post both of those forms of tracking in the description below if you want to watch how I do. Hopefully I do well. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you get on trail somewhere. That's all for right now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.